Are you legally allowed to protect yourself in your own home? Self-defense laws, the right to bear arms, castle doctrine? What are your rights? There's a dangerous rumor going around out there. People are under the assumption that you are not allowed to defend yourself or your family when being harmed or under attack. It's time we get some clarity. Let's talk about your rights before it's too late. And whether I decide to make a video about this issue or not, these conversations are being had everywhere. I've made videos which talk about crime prevention and basically what you can do to help prevent yourself from becoming a victim. These videos have received millions of views, and that's no exaggeration. But what else does that mean? They've received thousands and thousands of comments. And every time I post about break and enters, especially when somebody might be home invasions, theft of vehicles, robberies, you name it, people bring up the fact that if they use any force at all to protect themselves or their families, then they'll be the ones getting arrested. They comment about what a joke the laws are in terms of self-defense. They talk about their right to bear arms, and they talk about needing castle doctrine. People openly say, if you come on their property with the intent to cause harm to them or their family, they have the right to end you. Some people would gladly go to prison for protecting their family. And who wouldn't? Naturally. I was reading a comment yesterday where they brought up an old saying, better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And we know what that means. I haven't just received hundreds of comments talking about the frustrations with self-defense laws. I've received thousands, tens of thousands across all platforms. People are frustrated about what they see happening and the lack of real punishment. There is widespread frustration and confusion about the self-defense laws, okay? And who am I to tell them what they're feeling is wrong or misguided? They see what's happening. They're informed. They're paying attention. And this isn't partisan either, okay? And these are also not uneducated fools suggesting that we roll back time to the days of lawlessness, where it was survival of the fittest, everybody take the law into their own hands. And if that's what you want to write them off as, then you better give your head a shake. Pay attention, because there is a movement out there. People have had enough. I'm going to talk about a few different things here, and trigger warning, some of it can be disturbing, but they're also happening. And I'd rather know about these things than to be caught off guard. I don't walk around with rose-colored glasses. I'm not the same person I was before becoming a police officer almost 25 years ago. I no longer see the good in everybody. I no longer see the good or the innocence in every situation. I sit near exits. I always have a plan B. But I also wouldn't want to go back to not knowing these things. Yes, you absolutely can use reasonable force to defend and protect you and your family. I'm sure you picked up on the word reasonable. This has to do with any situation when you're protecting yourself or someone else. And the problem is that it can be interpreted many different ways. And who decides what reasonable means, especially at a time of crisis or panic? Let's look at one definition. Reasonable, not exceeding the limit prescribed by reason, not excessive. Synonyms are fair, just, and equitable. This is why very few people are willing to go on record and tell you exactly what it means. Because unless you're there and you know the dynamics of the situation, it's very difficult. But you have to. I mean, you have to articulate exactly what reasonable force meant to you at that time. So, hypothetical situation here, okay? Someone's in crisis, or they're just violent and they're looking to inflict harm on somebody, and for some reason, they single you out and they start throwing fists. Yes, defend yourself. Let's say this person gets injured. Well, that's on them, not you. Somebody being injured doesn't mean guilt on the other person. You used reasonable force to defend yourself. Now, let's say this person comes after you, you use physical force, you're defending yourself, but after they've clearly lost, you continue to hit and kick the person while they're on the ground. Would that be reasonable? Most people would say no. That's an example. But let's add even more layers here. And listen, I'm not making these things up, okay? These scenarios, these are things that are happening all over the world, every day. Same guy's coming at you. Fists are up. There's no way you can get out of it. So you know you're going to have to fight. But this guy's muscular. He's huge. And maybe you're smaller in stature and you're not confident in yourself. Listen, any professional fighter will tell you that it's not about size, okay? But we're just talking about the average person who doesn't work out, doesn't take any form of martial arts, and maybe they're not confident in their fighting skills, okay? Their abilities. If you go hand-to-hand combat with this person, you know you're going to be in for the beatdown of your life. But you see something near you. You see a stick or a rock, which might help you. And so you use it and you win and are seriously injured. You better hope that there's video surveillance in this situation. And you could keep going too, add more layers. You're the only thing standing between that big guy and your family, your young kids. If you're taken out, you're out of commission, who knows what's going to happen to your kids? So now you lose it. You would do anything to protect them. You didn't start it, but you're going to finish it. And in that moment, somebody, especially somebody who hasn't been in that situation before, they're not fighters, are they supposed to know when to stop, pause and assess the situation before they decide whether the guy's going to get back up or not? And now they're even more angry and they're going to do twice as much damage? Again, you better hope that there's some good witnesses or good video evidence. I've been asked hundreds of times over the years if somebody can protect themselves if someone comes into their home. Just think about that. Imagine not protecting yourself because you fear that the punishment would be worse. It's a very backwards way of thinking. But what caused people to think that in the first place? And not just, again, not a few comments, thousands. Some people aren't going to like what I have to say here, okay? But I recently traveled out of country. I spent a week in the US, and in this state, people can carry firearms. I know people there, and not all law enforcement or off-duty cops, but civilians who were carrying firearms. I went out for dinner a few times. I went shopping. I went walking late at night. And at no point did I feel unsafe. And I even said after I got back that I felt more safe walking around there than I do in my own city. And just to add this, the taxes were also a lot lower. But back to my video. I can always tell if somebody lives in the US or Canada by the comments. Some people, they welcome an intruder. And we know that the laws are behind them.
I guess they think that they did something wrong, which they did not. If somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. So whoever that was, you're not in trouble. Come see us. We have a gun safety class we put on every other Saturday. And if you take that, you'll shoot a lot better, and hopefully you'll save the taxpayers money. So with that, questions?
And someone asked a question on one of my recent posts, and it's still there. You can go read it. If somebody comes into your place with the firearm, but the homeowner also has firearms registered to them, can they use it to protect themselves and their family? This is not an uncommon question at all. Now, here's the thing. If you have firearms registered to you, they have to be stored properly, okay? Locked in an approved space, the ammunition locked separately, there's trigger locks, all kinds of rules. If you had a firearm registered to your home and there was a home invasion, there's no way you could get it all loaded up in time. A lot of these home invasions are very quick. People kick in the door and they come in. So if that's the case, they barge in quickly and it's accessible, your firearm's accessible, then you probably had it stored under your mattress or couch or something. And you know what's coming next. I don't have to sit here and tell you that in an emergency like that, the cops are probably going to show up after the fact. And what an absolute horror show. To sit there useless in your own home while unspeakable acts are happening to your loved ones. I have intimate knowledge of some of these things, and obviously I can't speak about it. But you don't have to listen to me. I remember years ago, I was a teenager, so like 70 years ago, there was stories going around. There was boats being boarded and robbed somewhere. I don't know where it was, but it was tropical, and a lot of people had sailboats and yachts. There was a huge problem. People's boats were being boarded. They were being robbed, assaulted. In some cases, they lost their lives, okay? I grew up in a police family, and a lot of these things were talked about openly, but there was plenty of articles which stated what took place and left out the details. Imagine having people come on your boat to rob you, and in some cases, family members are assaulted in the worst possible way, injured or killed, forced to watch, listen, helpless. The horror that these people went through before they lost their lives, I would have my channel deleted if I got into the details. And this is when I started paying attention to the issue of self-defense and the Second Amendment and what that means for us here and what people can do to protect themselves or what they can't do. I grew up in a family of police officers and also a family of hunters. I've been exposed to firearms my entire life. It was nothing for me growing up in the country. We had animals to protect. I have my ear to the ground as well. And if I had the sense or the overall mood of the public in relation to some of these laws, it's that they want answers and they want the laws changed. People deserve answers. I don't like talking about problems with at least providing some solution. A lot of my videos are about awareness and education. So this is what I'm going to do. There are a lot of very good quality videos online that talk about the issues that I'm talking about in this video. And a lot of them are from lawyers, and some of them, they really are great videos. They're articulate, and I encourage you to check some of them out. But I'd also like to welcome someone who would be considered an expert to discuss these things with me in a respectful way. Question and answer format with some open discussion on video. Just two people having a chat. I have no interest in debating. It might be controversial, but a true educational discussion. I know the laws, okay? I know what I can and I can't do. But let's flush this out. So maybe a lawyer who knows these things inside and out and can also articulate the laws, and we can get into the what if questions. And if you think it's always the public asking what if questions, you should see what it's like in the average classroom at police college. What if? What if? Because the law can be confusing. We're going to dive deeper into these issues, okay? Hopefully with a legal expert. We'll do this in a video and we'll discuss all the what ifs and we'll help you understand your rights better. I'm looking forward to this. Yes, you can use reasonable force to defend yourself in this country. Listen, there's a lot of people who pay attention to my posts, okay? And I'm connected to politicians from the entire political spectrum at every level of government. So if you have something to say, be articulate. Comment in a way that sparks discussion. A lot of my video ideas come from the comments. And again, whether I decide to make a video about these things, these discussions are being had. So let's bring it out to the open. Here's a quick fact before I go. I've been to hundreds of break and enter calls in my career and only one where they had a dog. I've never once been to one with a German Shepherd or any other kind of dog that's known for protection. Self-defense laws impact all of us, okay? And these discussions are crucial. Share your thoughts. Your perspective matters. Be safe out there. Look after one another. And I'll see you in the next video.